Okay.
Okay.
So thanks everyone for joining and giving us a little bit of your evening today. As you know from the title of the talk and from the poster that you see down there, we are going to be talking about misconceptions about mental health. And we've come up with a list of what I would call like assumptions. And to be honest, it's not clear cut. There are some of them have like elements of truth to it, but we'll really just dive into what our thoughts behind them and what our we've experienced throughout uh, that kind of inform us on whether these are misconceptions or not. So I am joined today by Porsche, who is the executive director of Silver Ribbon, and my co-founder Sabrina from Comp Collective, also here. So Sabrina, do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. I was really excited for this talk because along my own personal journey of bipolar disorder and like trying to understand what is going on in my mind, in my brain and body and everything. I've come across a lot of these misconceptions, whether it's from myself or from other people. So yeah, I'm excited for today.
Great. Porsche, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hi, everyone, including Alyssa and Sabrina. Thank you so much for having me, and Claire as well, helping out behind the scene. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm Porsche from Silver Ribbon, Singapore. Yeah.
Right. We have a little poll asking you guys why are you here today, but Sab, do you want to run that now?
Yep.
Okay.
All
So
right.
you're gonna see a poll that comes up, and we're just curious to know, so we can also kind of our answers can be directed accordingly to who's here. I guess one liner about myself, I'm one of the co-founders of Com Collective. If you haven't joined us before, so you might have seen us take turns hosting these talks. I'm coming from to this talk not with I'm not a mental health professional, but I do have some experience with being a caregiver and having direct experience around mental health as that through that. Yeah. All right. Shall we?
Yeah, I think most people have voted. Yep.
Okay, let's see the results. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Good to know.
Wow.
Yeah, and I see that there are a lot of you guys in this field of study as well. So if you ever want to chip into any of the assumptions that we have, why don't you? Yeah, we'd love to hear your comments as well. You can type in make sure you're sending it to all the panelists and attendees so everyone can benefit from your knowledge as well. With that being said, let's go on to the first assumption that we want to talk about today. So, only people with mental illness need to take care of their mental health. Now, just like my personal story around this, I remember inviting people to our very first Com Collective talk and sending out a lot of personal emails. And one of the things I got back was, my family and me are fine. We don't need this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I felt really disheartened because this was something I also thought I didn't need to take care of, many years ago when I didn't know much about mental health. And it's only going through grief that I realized that actually there's a lot I need to take care of, even though I don't have a mental illness, that can help me with resolving grief and recovering from grief, and then from there kind of going on to take care of my mental health on a regular basis. Porsche, would love to hear your take on this.
Well, I find this assumption very interesting. I love the poll. There's quite a portion of you actually studying and maybe in this field, studying psychology, counseling, or social work. So we do have interns with us. And sometimes I'm always curious. I love to ask a lot of questions. And one fine day I was asking my intern, so what do you do when you're feeling stressed out? And this intern was staring at me and said, hey, I'm studying psychology. I'm supposed to be able to manage my own mental well-being. I don't see the need to seek help. So I don't understand why you're asking this question. I said, okay, never mind. Okay, and another point is that, wherever I conduct workshops, I'm just like Sabrina, I'll be asking a lot of questions again. And what are the possibility of you having a mental disorder? No, why are we talking about this? We do not have a family history of mental health issues. Huh? Okay, so I think this is like very appropriate because like anyone, regardless of age group, background, whatever educational level, anyone could have mental health issue. At times, though, I was telling myself, why am I advocating so hard for mental health? Maybe one fine day I might have a mental health condition, and the new generation might be taking care of me, right? Sabrina, what do you think?
I mean, thanks, thanks. It's funny because that's what I did to Porsche last time in a separate conversation. So I mean, my take on this idea is that mental health at the end of the day is actually really similar to physical health, right? Just because when you look at physical health, what we do to take care of our physical health is to eat relatively healthy, exercise, make sure we move around, make sure we take care of ourselves, right? Physically. And I think mental health is the same thing when it comes to taking care of your mind and your mental well-being. And just like your physical body, your mind also can fall sick. Your brain can also fall sick, right? So that's when mental health turns into mental illness. And also that said, mental illness also doesn't mean that you're gonna have a like really crappy life. You can still have a certain level of good health or well-being.
I think
Even
we'll
with
talk
that.
about that a
Oh,
little bit
sorry.
later.
Yeah, I
But
jumped
yeah,
in.
I mean, ultimately, it's like prevention is better than cure. You can take care of your physical health before you get, deathly
Yes.
ill. You can also take care of your mental health, whether or not you have any sort of mental health
Yeah.
diagnosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the second assumption
Oh my God.
for today.
Okay. Ah,
We have a lot. Okay, so
we have
your
so
mental
many.
health condition is only an issue of mind over matter. So I think this younger generation kind of gets it, but when you talk to a lot of the older generation, they don't. A lot of them still don't understand that uh, you can not think your way out of a mental health condition, and you cannot just you know take care of it
Yeah,
by
you sleep
yourself,
it
right?
off. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Sab, what was your experience with your parents?
Yeah, no. My dad and my mom, when early in the days where I knew that I had depression and I knew that I had to get help, they were like, "No, I don't think you really need medication. All of this is not good for you. You should just go sleep it off. Tomorrow will be a better day." Okay, maybe. I mean, sleeping allows me to run away from it a little bit, but no, it didn't solve my mental health condition at that point. So yeah, I think this assumption is very prevalent. I don't know whether it's prevalent now in the younger generations, but at least amongst my parents and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
Porsche, how about your experience?
Mm,
I know Silver Ribbon, you do a lot of counseling as
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
Do young people who go to you guys for counseling have this experience where they're dealing with their parents' misunderstanding of what mental health really is?
Yeah, I mean, like we do serve clients across all age group. Since you're talking about the youth, yes, we do come across youth having these challenges when the communication issues, I guess. And they will usually say, my mom was telling me that, it's just all in your mind. Snap out of it, don't think about it, no. Yeah, try to keep your mind occupied, you'll be fine. And some parents will start making comparison, during my younger days, I was able to manage, so you should be able to manage. So yeah, very interesting assumption again. Yeah,
Classic one.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I will go to the next assumption. All right. Assumption number three, medication will make you feel like a zombie. So my experience with this, so my late husband was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder, and he was really, really, really reluctant to take any medication. One of those fears was, he will feel like a zombie. He will feel like his brain, his mind is not as sharp as it once was. And I mean, being someone who was very highly accomplished, went to a very good school, where his mind was really he felt his identity. I can understand and I can empathize that you don't want that piece of your identity to be taken away from you. And I mean, Sab, from your experience, what was taking medication like, and did you have this fear?
I was really afraid at the start, right? I'm like, what's it gonna do? Obviously, I heard this kind of assumption before, whether it's in the media, whether it's
I will
among
say,
friends.
like, if you Google these kind of things, like, you will see forums, and some
Yeah.
of them, I mean, say like really scary things.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, okay, so my personal experience of medication is that, so when I took it, I was like super depressed. So I was like, okay, I was desperate enough to just try anything, because if I'm not gonna get out of depression, then what can I do? So I was like, fine, I'll try it out. My doctor said don't Google anything. So I think I listened and I decided, okay, fine, I won't Google it. And my experience of it was that I was really low at that point, but it helped me feel kind of numb after a while. But I did see that my mood started feeling better after, I think, about a month in of taking medication. But what I did learn about medication is that, you have to really find the right medication for you. I mean, for me, I've been through so many different types, and I have a whole bag of things I don't use. So like different types of medication will suit the different individual, and the side effects, yeah, it does happen. I gained a lot of weight at some point, and I was like, okay, no doctor, I want to change it. But in terms, going back to like how it makes you feel, I feel that medication is at the very least a crutch for you to get better to a point where you're able to function again. In certain more severe or severe cases, then I would say that medication is quite important. So for instance, I have bipolar disorder, right? I still am on mood stabilizers, but at a reduced dosage, because I'm able to manage my life in other ways, right? I go for therapy and all that.
How long did it take for you to find with your doctor the right set or the right combination of medicine that will make you feel like you are you?
Wow. Okay. I think I honestly from the starting point when I took medication, it was like maybe it was in April 2016. And then I only started feeling okay, like myself again in September or October, to be honest. It took me a while, but it really got me a lot better. So it was from feeling really, really bad to feeling like, okay, I don't really care about anything, but at least I'm functioning. I can still get on with life.
Did you ever feel at any point like, I'm not myself, like you can't think clearly?
At the start, yeah. But I was already not thinking clearly when I was in depression, you see.
Right.
So, yeah. So it was from like thinking really bad stuff to like, Killa, don't think so much. So I got a little bit more apathetic, which I think was really helpful for me to just get through my day. Yeah. And then I started feeling like myself again. And the thing is like that your concept of yourself also changes. So I think I kind of stepped into a new normal for myself also.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Porsche, anything you want to add?
That kind of recounts from your
heard it a lot. I heard it a lot. And especially youngsters telling me that I'm still young. I do not want to be placed on medication for lifetime. And I mean, for this sentence, medication will make you feel like a zombie. It is possible for those who are experiencing or having a severe condition. Yeah, so that explains why they are placed on a high dosage. Maybe they have been having lots of relapse recently and it's quite severe and they're very suicidal. It's possible. But having said that, it's good for them to, communication is very important. So it's good to update the psychiatrist on how you are feeling instead of stopping the medication immediately. Yeah, many a times when people start feeling, like a zombie or experiencing some other side effects, they stop taking the medication immediately. And they start questioning about the intervention. And this can be quite discouraging because they might relapse within a short period of time. That's my greatest worry. So it's natural to be fearful of taking medication, even for physical illness. I mean, I'm a stubborn person. I hate taking medication. I'll try self-medicating, right? But eventually I said, no, I got to see a doctor. I got to see a professional and take my medication. But if let's say I experience side effect, I will definitely discuss with my doctor. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
point, Porsche. I think
Yeah.
it's all about having that relationship with your psychiatrist and
Mm.
being able to communicate how you're feeling and being able to persist and find the right one for you,
Yeah.
right combination for you.
I think there's a good transition into our next assumption. So if you just flash that out, it's you don't need medication. You can just handle it on your own. So I mean, it's also related to the second one that we had. You know, a lot of people have asked, you know, can I just do journaling? Can I just do meditation? Do I need to go see a professional? Do I need to take medication? I mean, this answer is very nuanced. I mean, I have my own thoughts around it, but Sab, do you want to go first?
Oh, it's a bit hard to answer this one because the answer would be it depends. It really depends
Exactly.
on your situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, I mean, some people, medication is necessary, and you were saying that, you know, it can be a crutch to get you to a baseline level where other therapies can work and other solutions can help you. And oftentimes, right, the treatment is not purely medication; it's medication plus psychotherapy, or any other kind of, maybe it's plus
Lifestyle
meditation,
changes.
lifestyle
Yeah.
changes, etc. So
Sleep.
it really
Yeah.
very depends on the person and also the condition and the severity of the condition. I will say as well, and if you think, and I've heard this being said, like, okay, but yeah, yoga can work. Yoga will just do everything. You know, why don't you just meditate it? You know, each of these kind of things, they have contraindications, or they have like specific things that won't work for different people. So I'm a yoga teacher as well, part-time, and one of the things I've learned is actually certain poses are not good for certain conditions. So for example, if you have depression, apparently, you know, exhaling longer than your inhale, it's not necessarily a good thing, because it, you know, stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, and, you know, which is already kind of, the balance is already impaired due to depression. The other thing is kind of forward folds, kind of these introverted poses, also helps to like soothe you, but is not great for depression. And I've also heard meditation sometimes is not good for people with PTSD, or it can trigger people as they, you know, think back. You know, you're thinking, you're trying to settle your thoughts, but say that you get trapped in a thought that is harmful for you, you can actually panic. And journaling as well. Sometimes journaling is not so good for. So
I
it's
tried journaling at some point when I was
yeah,
low. It just got me lower, to be honest, because I was like,
right.
why am I feeling so bad? Because of this, because of that, because of this. So I was like trying to be my own therapist,
Self-therapy.
therapize, I don't know, whatever. But it really led nowhere, and I ended up digging myself deeper and deeper into depression. So yeah, I don't know, Porsche. What do you think?
It's possible for someone. Okay, thank you, Sabrina. It's, I mean, I have ever seen a number of people making that comment, and it's usually made by someone, for example, they love you very much, and they see that you're going through a hard time with your condition and experiencing the side effect. They have the heartache, and you say, forget about the medication. I don't think you need that. You know, yeah, could be the first one. Okay. Secondly, it could be someone with very limited mental health knowledge, and they'll just say, you know, oh, I read a lot of reports, now medication doesn't work or whatever. For us, usually we emphasize a lot on holistic approach. So like yoga, you know, when it's appropriate or whatever. So yeah, I mean, like it's very subjective. Like what Alyssa has said, it depends on the level of severity as well. And having said that, I've spoken to quite a number of my clients, and I love talking to them. What do you really want? And one of them actually told me something. Just allow us to live our life with dignity. Wow, powerful. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
one other thing, and I think some people like to use this excuse to say, "Oh, I can just handle on my own," as a kind of like an excuse also for them not to do anything more, like not to go see, not to take medication, not to change anything in their life. But if you do, you know, recovery is a many step process, and there's a, you have to take it quite seriously. You have to take it quite. There's like so many different steps to it. Yeah, I feel like I could really talk, keep talking about this, but we have a lot more things to
We can have a
cover.
talk on this. Yeah.
Okay. Next assumption is you look fine. You don't look like you're mentally unwell. Sab, I'm gonna arrow you because
I've gotten this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I get this all the time. It's like, what? I can't believe you have a mental illness or condition. Are you sure? It's mind over matter. That's how it comes across. And no, just because you don't look physically unwell doesn't mean you're struggling inside. I mean, I think there's something called like high functioning depression, right? Quite a lot of people, friends, have opened up to me and said that they are struggling, even though they are, handling high positions or really high responsibility positions at work. And for me, yeah, I actually do feel like, oh wow, I would not have guessed, but I guess I've learned better not to say this.
Yeah. Ultimately, mental illness is an invisible illness, right? Most of the time. What do you think, Porsche?
That's a phrase, no, don't take an offense, huh? People with depression lies a lot. They lies a lot because they lie that they are well, so that people won't start asking.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's it.
I've lied.
Right.
I've lied like the past few years, many times.
Yeah. Why? Because some of my clients told me that they're trying to look fine. They were trying to look fine so that people won't ask that question. No, why are you so moody? Why are you like that? So yeah, and then they try. I mean, like they know that those people around them are really concerned, so they try to look fine. But the thing is, like, having said that, yeah, I mean, like I've spoken to some of them, and I remember back in 2005 there were only 2 mental health advocates compared to now. It's so vibrant. And one of them actually told me, some people were questioning her. Her name was Rita. She has already passed away. She was coping with schizophrenia. I love her so much. But so she was telling me she was very hurt because there are some people who just say that she was advocating for mental health for limelight. And she was very upset. And she looked so fine. She presented herself so well until everybody started saying, you look fine. Like, you do like someone having schizophrenia.
Oh, wow.
And it is very sad. So we've got to be very sensitive. Even if there are some people, I always quote in my Facebook, even if you don't have the time to volunteer, even if you don't have the money to make donation, it's fine. But just be kind. Just be kind. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
100%. Okay, next assumption is your life is so good, you have no reason to be mentally ill. Or another version of this is your life is so good, you have no like your family has treated you so well. Like how can you be depressed?
You have a roof over your head, you have a job.
Yeah, Porsche, what do you have comments or thoughts on this?
Yeah. Same with what I said, just be kind with your words. I mean, yeah, the thing is, like, we shouldn't just like make our judgment. No, everybody just judge, and it's very hurting for other people. Yeah, so no reason. Yeah, you're so rich. You have very rich parents. You get promoted so fast. Yeah.
I mean, what people don't, a lot of people don't realize is there's the biopsychosocial model on mental illness. There can be, for example, you can be biologically predisposed to mental illness or something social or help me out here. Psychological.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, it could be genetic. Could be genetic.
Can be more than just the cause. I mean, a lot of people assume that it's because something bad happened in your childhood. It doesn't have to be, right?
No, I mean, like, something that looks good on the outside may be perceived very differently by the individual, right? So for instance, someone who has like a whole family intact as opposed to someone who's like a child of, I don't know, divorce and multiple whatever things like violence at home and all that, someone in a so-called what seems like a good family situation can still experience some kind of trauma if they felt that they were very detached from their family. Maybe they had quite an absent father, or they didn't have the best relationship with their mom, or a narcissistic parent, for instance. So things can look good on the outside, from the outside, but for the individual experiencing it, it can still be, a trigger for them to have a mental health condition or to feel bad about
And
something.
that's a really good point that you made, which is, two people can actually also go through the same exact thing, and one person can experience trauma and one person might not perceive it as trauma because it's very personal, right?
Yeah. So I think I mean, sorry, so I'm just like, just kind of reiterating Porsche's point about like, we can't make assumptions. Yeah. And mental illness doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could, I've seen a lot of like comments. So an article comes up and, oh, but she doesn't even look, can she prove that she, I've seen those, and I think, yeah, probably those who are attending this webinar are those who don't make those.
I've also received
so.
that. Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of, Sabrina, you're just seeking attention, I'm like,
How do you respond to that?
I couldn't, because my friends just left. I lost a whole bunch of friends because of that perception.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah. It could be due to the whole list of reasons, right? Genetic, it could be a life event. It could be due to a physical illness, because according to studies, there's correlation between physical illness and mental illness as well. Childhood trauma, like Sabrina said, whether this person has been abused sexually, physically, verbally during the childhood. So there's a whole list of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yes, back to like, no assumptions, plus I think also the lack of education around mental health and how it happens, mental illness.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next assumption. So it's, you're not religious or your faith is weak, that's why you have a mental illness. Porsche, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I can understand this message, because like we do handle clients of different faith based. So there are some who came forward and said, Porsche, I'm having depression because like I was being told, okay, by certain people that no, I'm not praying enough. So my faith is not strong enough, and that's why I'm having this mental health condition. Or for a certain religious group, it's like, oh, it's a karma. So you're having mental health issue, it's a karma. It's like, huh? Something I done previously in my previous life? How could it be? So we have earlier on shared about like the possible causes of mental disorder. So I mean, it's very sensitive and touch on all this. It can be very discouraging, especially like you talk about karma. It's like, some parents start crying, they drop by at our center and say, is it my karma? That's why I'm having a son with bipolar or schizophrenia. Oh, it's very sad.
Wow.
Yes. And that's why what we are doing right now is like we have been reaching out to different religious groups. So we do not explore partnership with the churches or the malls or the Buddhist center.
It's good to hear that they're receptive to it. And I've seen programs as well, like religious organizations providing counseling for and mental health support. I think ultimately people need to understand no one deserves mental illness. No one deserves like this condition being in their lives, right? Sab, I wanted to ask you your experience, because I know that your parents kind of went through the religious route, right?
When we explored. Yeah. So
what was that like?
Oh no, I mean, so I think before we went to the psychiatrist, so my mom suggested that okay, Sabrina, maybe we should check out this religious lady to see whether there's a reason for the depression that you're going through. Yeah. So this assumption wasn't set, but it was like, maybe religion will solve it, or like you can solve it spiritually somehow. And then besides that, besides my family, I also encountered like colleagues, friends who said, Sabrina, come to church with me, join us and you'll be okay, just pray with us. And I'm like, in the first place, I'm Muslim and I don't want to go to church. I feel bad. And I mean, I don't think it boils down to your faith or your your spirituality. It's really a medical issue, right? So
Mm.
it was a very strange time for me to navigate.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when people are faced with something unknown, they also do
Mm,
kind of look to religion or something that they've,
yeah. Or what they know,
default to.
right?
Yeah, what do
Yeah.
they know?
Yeah, but that said, I do see that, maybe religion or like going to, oh yeah, I think joining religious groups or gatherings can be helpful from a social perspective because you have that support group.
Mhm.
But relying on religion alone to save you, then I don't think that's a realistic expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, before I go on to the next assumption,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that we'd love to hear your assumptions as well. So if you're putting in the comments or Q&A, and we'll address these later. So
Yeah.
please, yeah, ask away. We'd love to. And if you just have questions as well, please ask away. Okay, so for the next assumption, getting help for your mental health condition is expensive. I'm gonna ask Porsche first
It's a
to
common myth.
comment on that.
It's a common myth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was reaching out to 70 plus, 70 over scholars 2 days ago, and I posted the same question, before I saw this. And all of them replied, oh, it's very expensive. So they were not aware of the subsidized treatment that is available. They are not aware that they are actually able to tap on MediSave, to settle some of the treatments. So it's always good to make known. And in Singapore, actually, is affordable. I mean, you don't even talk about treatment, even counseling. We have very good, helpful social service agency in Singapore, like Club Hill, Singapore Association for Mental Health.
Like
Uh,
silver ribbon.
yeah, okay. No, that's the last one. I'm not here
Exactly.
to sell silver ribbon, but in general, it's about get the message here is that there are affordable help available. So don't let this prevent you from coming forward to seek help. Really,
Mm.
Yeah. Sab,
yeah.
what's your experience in terms of
Well,
especially
honestly,
financially?
I've learned a lot more since starting Calm Collective with you. So initially, I did find out that it is like help is available via the public system. Um, However, I mean, like I thought, or I had, maybe it's another assumption that I had, right? I had the assumption that okay, this is going to take a little bit of time. I think I can just go for private help because thankfully I was in a privileged position where my mom was actually happy to take care of these costs as I was in that really really bad situation. Um, but my take on it is that at least for like even counseling or even helplines, these are free. There are free resources that we can turn to for like immediate help. So, for instance, this was just last year, right? And I was feeling really, really bad during the lockdown. And what I did was I actually called the Aware helpline,
Mhm.
and I spoke to them for 1 whole hour. And I was like, I didn't realize they were going to talk to me for so long. Or actually, I just kept talking, and it was really, really helpful in that moment. So I managed to get on a call with a counselor, and she asked me great questions. She held space for me, and I think, yeah, I was great because it was a free experience, and it helped me a lot in that moment. So I think there's a lot of options and avenues for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will be doing a talk on this
Mm.
later on. So
Yeah.
I'll plug it later because I can't remember the date right now.
I
But
can send the link. I
yeah,
have it ready.
ultimately, it's like there are a lot of avenues. Like the very basic one, if you're in crisis, there's the helplines. You can actually go to a GP and get some sort of referral or even some medicine. Yeah, and then there are a lot of associations offering free or affordable or subsidized counseling as a first port of call. So it's kind of a whole topic in itself, and it definitely needs a lot more. I
Mm.
also linked a blog post in the chat for some of the numbers to these helplines and also counseling, like Silver Ribbon. Yeah, someone just asked. I was suggested to see a psychiatrist to get medication, but was told at the same time that
Mm.
it would be costly. Sad.
Mm.
I guess it depends whether it's a public or
Depends on
private.
who you
Yeah,
see. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so within the public route in Singapore, it can be very subsidized. The insurance can cover it, right?
No, it's
Um,
super cheap. I mean, it's under MediSave and everything.
yeah, but under
Yeah.
private, once you go private, I know I've seen the cost. It's very expensive. It can be. I remember going with my late husband. And it was like $250 for 15 minutes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my
It's like,
usual
oh my
bill
god.
is $200. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely private will be very expensive, but there are routes going that you can go
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Your diagnosis or treatment will be on your records forever, and that will affect your chances for employment. And I saw that somebody also put this in the comments. Yeah. What do you have to say to that, Sam?
I don't know. I mean, so this is, it goes back to the also part of the reason why I went to the private route, because my mom was like, oh my God, what if your boss knows in the future? What if you want to work for the public sector and the government will find out, right? I don't know. Maybe I won't work for the government. I'm not sure, right? But anyway. So honestly, I don't know. I actually want to know, Porsche, what your experience is on this. And I think, and separately, right? To be honest, on like right now, 5 years on, I feel that my stand is, who cares? You need help, you need help. And if
Also,
you,
you don't want to be working for an employer who
yeah,
doesn't care about your mental health, right?
exactly. Yeah. At
Yeah.
this point, it's like, you want to be working for an employer who is supportive, and
Yeah.
you should be able to disclose if you have to, right?
Yeah, and I have to
Although
say,
you don't
like,
have to. No. Yeah.
it's actually a good thing. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, mental health is just in vogue right now. Everybody's talking about it. But actually, it's a good thing. The more and more people are talking about it, the more people expect it. And people coming into employment expect it. Then there are some old fashioned, I know there are still some very old fashioned employers out there. The more we pressure them to kind of provide these solutions or to make sure that they care about their employees' mental health, the better it will be for everybody.
Mhm.
Porsche, I mean, what's your take on this?
I have 2 points here. First thing, obviously, all the hospitals or whichever psychiatrist will definitely keep your reports, because like, why are they recording or whatever is so that during your subsequent visit you do not have to repeat your issues or your concern anymore. But having said that, the thing is, like, I'm able to share this because I was previously working in Institute of Mental Health. I was working there for 8 years, and I do know those people from the medical record office. And they do not entertain any requests from Tom, Dick, or Harry. Not anyone just write to IMH and say, I would like to have Alyssa's report, Sabrina's report. No, they are not supposed to release your record to anyone unless maybe you have committed a crime and the court needs this, to pass the judgment or pass a verdict or whatever. So this is the first part, So for those psychiatrists who are keeping your report, is like for reference. Yeah, you don't have to, because I do have clients saying that, oh, there are some doctors, they are not referring to the report, and kept asking me what happened and how did I have depression, and they're making me so sad. So I decided not to visit that psychiatrist or that doctor anymore. I understand. So that's why reports are good, so that whoever is covering the duty won't be asking this question again. Okay. Second part, that will affect your chances for employment. So I mean, last January, I love last January 2020, we have two good news. One was decriminalization of suicide, which we have been fighting so hard along with a lot of mental health organizations, including Aware. Okay, Corina, she's wonderful. So we've been working on that. And another good news was TAFE actually reviewed the guidelines and requesting all the employers to remove that clause, mental health query, which is another good news. So the thing is that hopefully, I mean, anyway, we see more and more employers coming forward, expressing their concern. And I'll let you know, during this phase 2, we have been receiving a lot of calls, not from families, a lot of calls from the employers asking, how could we support our employees during this difficult moment? We are so surprised, and we felt so encouraged, actually. Yeah. Let's stay hopeful, okay?
It's
Let's stay
really
hopeful.
encouraging, Porsche.
Yeah.
It's been really encouraging.
Yeah.
We have been hearing a lot more
Yeah.
from organizations saying we
Yeah.
want to do something.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do, but we we want to do something about it. So hopefully this momentum keeps up. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much for clearing that up, Porsche, because I think a lot of people have that question too. And I think that's a misconception that still lives on. So if anyone is applying to a job and you see that they are asking you, what's your history of mental health? That's illegal. You can technically report them, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, moving on to the next assumption. You can't hold down a proper job with a mental illness. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We said, there are people, there's like high functioning depression, there's high functioning, not just depression, but other types of mental illness, and you can definitely live a normal life. I think it's kind of rooted down in this, the one of the earlier misconceptions that we had, that you have to, you look a certain way, or you must act a certain way if you have a sort of mental illness. Sab, what are your thoughts on this?
I managed to hold the proper job with my mental illness. So, okay, but thank you. No, but it did take me a while to regain the confidence, right? Because when I was like really low, I actually took some time to study again. I took a 3-month course to study, and then I did some part-time work before I was ready enough to go back to working full-time again. Right. So I think when you're down, especially when you have depression, or I mean, actually any illness for that matter, right? It really takes a hit to your overall self-esteem, as well as maybe even your ability to focus and all that, right? So I did allow myself to take a step back and say, okay, let's just do what I can for now and let go of any expectations. But with my therapist and with my psychiatrist, I was able to really reflect on how well I was doing and how my recovery was going. And yeah, I think over time, I kind of took more and more higher responsibility jobs, right? Yeah, and eventually my last job was in software for 2 years, managing client accounts for the region. And we started Calm Collective. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. So yeah, I think it's possible, but obviously when you first are starting your recovery journey, you do need to have that self-awareness of what you are comfortable enough to do, and also be practice that your self-compassion as well, to allow yourself to let go of certain expectations. It's okay to not take a proper job too for a while.
Yeah.
That's my take. Yeah.
Porsche, what do you think?
I mean, as I'm staring at your assumption 10, you can't hold down a proper job with a mental illness. Are we taking it too hard because mental illness is indicated there? How about you can't hold on a proper job with a stroke? You can't hold on a proper job with what else? Yeah, a hypertension. Okay, maybe you can concentrate. Or something
sure.
serious. You
Alzheimer's,
understand?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, are we taking it so hard because it's mental illness? And okay, let's be fair. Okay, let's view this objectively. It's clear enough if they can't hold on to the job if, let's say, they are relaxing. Let's be frank here. Okay, so let's not generalize. It could be like they can't hold on the job because during that time this person was relaxing, so that's why this person wasn't able to hold on to the job. This person wasn't able to hold on to the job because he or she was having a severe mental health condition back then. Yeah, and once treated and well supported with the treatment or the appropriate intervention and the support of family and friends, you can move on with their life and live a quality life, right? Just like Sabrina, you look at her. Yeah.
Okay lah.
Yeah,
No, but it's true. It's really about setting up your support systems, having that regular and consistent care, right? Whether it's with your medical professionals or just with yourself and the people around you. You have to really take responsibility for your own recovery. Yeah, it's not going to happen just like that. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, next assumption that I want to cover. People with mental health conditions are violent. So, I mean, we've seen in the news lately, there are not I mean, aside from violent, you can also replace that. People with mental health conditions are like really completely crazy, and they'll do crazy things like, well, I mean, there are a few big cases in the news, right, where okay, lady
Yeah.
one, don't know her
Doesn't wear
name,
the mask or
doesn't wear the mask.
something.
I don't know, and then we see
Oh,
these kind of portrayals on
yeah.
media, and a lot of people there.
Mm.
That's how the misconceptions are made, right? Oh, you must think that everybody with a mental health condition will act this way. Porsche, how do we respond to that? How do we make sure that the media reports? Well, the media will report what they see, right? How do
Mm.
we make sure that people don't come up with this conclusion that that's how everybody with mental health conditions are like?
I guess one of your representatives from Come Collective was involved with us when Beyond the Label launched the media guideline, and which was really, really good. And I was so happy. I took it as if my personal project because I've been looking forward to that. Enough of all those negative reports, and it's not happening at all. And when you talk about violence, yeah, I remember Sabrina was like violently directing a lot of questions to me. And right, violently. That's
Thanks.
right, right? So the thing is, come on. I mean, like what I said, no, I've been working in Institute of Mental Health for 8 years, and I've been working in Silver Ribbon for 15 years, handling many, many clients. I mean, it's about basic respect. No, treat everyone as like how you like to be treated. And touch wood, I've never been attacked, harmed by anyone. And I remember back then when I was working in IMH, I wasn't driving and I hitched a cab. Okay, can you imagine the stare by the taxi driver? And once I bought the cab, and then he was staring at me, from the mirror, the rear mirror, and saying, and he was keeping quiet, kept staring at me. Finally, he couldn't hold his silence, and he started asking, "So you're going to Institute of Mental Health for?" Then I said, "Okay, I'm working there." Then he looked so relieved. But after that, and and then he put the second question: "Why do you want to work in IMH? They have so many hospitals all around. Why do you choose to work in IMH? They are very dangerous." I said, "Uncle, if everybody have that perception, nobody will be working in IMH and nobody will be serving, persons with mental health issue." So the thing is like, either you or me might have mental health condition, who knows, unless you're very sure. So at times I'll be very sarcastic, I'll be very sarcastic when some of the people will laugh over it and they make a joke out of it. I said, you wouldn't be able to laugh one fine day unless you're very sure you never ever have a mental health condition in your lifetime. Yeah.
And isn't it that statistics are like people with mental health conditions are more likely to hurt themselves than anybody else?
Yeah.
Just those, like, you read that one news article and you see there's one person with violent tendencies happen to have a mental health condition does not mean everybody else also has it. Sab, any thoughts on this too that you'd like to add? Porsche covered it very well, right?
I think Porsche covered it really well. It's just I have nothing to say about this.
Okay. I think the next one,
Yeah.
the next one is especially for you. Once you open up about your condition, people distance themselves from you. Sabrina.
Yeah.
Perfect for you.
It depends again,
So yes and no, right?
Yes and no. It depends on who you open up to. Obviously, I've kind of opened up to everybody now. So I think, so I can compare my situation now versus say 5 years ago, right? So 5 years ago when I opened up, and I actually told my friends, "Hey guys, I realized that I just learned that I have bipolar disorder, and this is what it means. I'm sorry I might have been, not very nice to you, or I've been really down and not responding to you. But I finally found out why, right? So I tried to explain it the best I could at that point. But then the answers I actually received were either nothing or people replied. I had two friends who actually just blatantly directly replied to me and said, "Sabrina, I don't think I can be here for you at this point in your life. So good luck." So yes, the distancing did happen. However, these days, I feel that, since I guess I came out again 2 years ago, I published the article I wrote about going through depression. I didn't talk about bipolar disorder back then because I was like, I think this is too much. Don't want to scare people. And actually, yeah, I've had more and more people come up to me and share their stories, whether they're friends or strangers as well, right? And I don't know, I think it's been overall good for me to open up and share because I'm able to surround myself with people who are able to empathize with my condition, and by having people who are willing to understand, right? Then that's really helping me build that support system for myself, so that I don't have to lie about the fact that I have a condition to deal with. I don't have to lie that I'm tired because I'm struggling here and I cannot get out of bed today, right? So I think overall it's been good for me, but it's obviously very scary because even with my previous job that I was in, it took me a long time before I actually started talking about it. Yeah, I
And
didn't.
what was it like in the work dynamic when you were actually
Mm.
open with your boss about it?
Actually, well, it was actually quite good. So I was lucky that my boss has his mom is a therapist, so he was like, I kind of understand a little bit. So I was very lucky. I lucked out. So I just said like, hey, he was asking me, oh, Sabrina, why are you so lethargic the past couple of weeks and you don't seem to be focusing? And that was around the time where I was triggered by my grandfather's passing. But I wasn't able to catch myself and like warn him or anything. Right? It just kind of happened. I was like, okay, mildly depressed at that point. So we actually had a talk, and then we realized that, I finally opened up to him and said, you know what, this is the case and I need to take a couple of weeks off. And he said, okay, well, I trust your instinct. And my psychiatrist also wrote up an MC. She's like, Sabrina, if you really don't know what to do, you can take 2 weeks off. Okay, medical reason. So my boss was quite open about talking about it, and we started implementing like a new routine during our one-on-ones. So we have a one-on-one every week, and he would actually check in with me how my mood is for the week. So we would have like a dedicated 5-minute check-in. So at least I can, just openly share like, oh, actually I feel like crap today, or this past weekend was really tough. And the other thing that was quite funny that I don't know, it was a bit funny because he's a guy, right? Was one thing I noticed was that my mood would really, really dip around my period time, really bad, like really down, right? So I actually told him like, so this is a thing that happens, and I need to tell you that on that day when that happens, I'm out,
I have to say, because
Yeah.
Sab, you and I, we work together.
We work
pretty closely.
together.
You are also very open with me about, okay, my
Yeah.
mood is dipping. And it actually really helps me
Mm.
understand and also make sure like, okay, let's just not do a meeting today then. This is going to be so much more productive
Yeah,
if
that's
we do
no
this
point.
the next day, or, after your cycle is better, right?
Yeah.
And it helps us be more productive, because it doesn't make any sense to just like push through when nobody's in the mood for it. And actually, on that cycle, sorry men if you're listening to this,
It's
my
helpful
grief,
if you have girlfriends.
I noticed my grief was like so bad when, again, it coincided with like the worst part of my period. And sometimes I would be like, I don't know why I'm triggered, I don't know why I feel so sad, and I realize it's just mood cycle.
It's physical. It's a physical,
Yeah.
biological thing also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
anyway.
and then going back to this, if you open up, people distance themselves from you, you never know. It is definitely a risk. There might be some people who go away,
Freak out. Yeah.
freak out, and it's valid. Some people just don't have the capacity or to hold the space for you, and that's perfectly valid. But you also open yourself up to a potential community of support, which you won't know necessarily that is there for you if you stay silent. And so yes, there's this risk. Maybe, if your immediate family is not able to hold that space out for you, there are peer support groups. That's where professional help can really step in to fill that gap and make sure that you have that support. So I just want to put that out there as well. Now, I think that's all the assumptions that we prepared today, but there are a few more that I've seen in the questions. So someone is asking, may I ask, is it true that anxiety cannot be cured? Now, interestingly, we actually just had a podcast episode specifically on this like topic about anxiety, and I spoke to a psychotherapist, my friend Nisha, on this, and she said absolutely not. Anxiety can absolutely be cured, and she was saying there's like, but you have to actively manage it. You have to, yeah, work on it, whether that's with a professional, mental health professional to work through that, maybe even anxiety medication if that's what you need. However, if you really want it to be a long-term condition, and it's like, don't do anything about it. Porsche, that's what she said. That's what she said. Porsche, what do you have to say?
That's so sad. Yeah, but it's true. It's actually true.
Yeah. I mean, like, it depends. It's very subjective, and we need to gather more information rather than anxiety cannot be cured. It depends on the severity of the condition once again. And of course, like we often know all mental health organizations, including Institute of Mental Health, have been encouraging early help, encouraging more people to come forward to seek for early help. But sometimes it's due to the stigma. There's a tendency of people delaying treatment. And the earlier you seek help, the earlier you can move on with your life. And there again, for anxiety, according to studies, we encourage you to both speak to a psychiatrist as well as a psychologist, for some therapy sessions concurrently, and it can help to speed up the recovery process as well. So having said that, is about, at times people start asking me, do I have to live with a mental health condition forever? It is, for example, schizophrenia is a major mental disorder, and some of them will say, can I stop my medication? I can't accept the fact that I have to be placed on medication for lifetime. I'm only 29. But the thing is, like, if we adjust our mindset, how about hypertension? You might have to live
diabetes.
Yeah. So of course, like, we can't make comparison because these people are really going through this session. But having said that, it's about acceptance first of all. And the last assumption when you talk about opening up, I mean, like, I really appreciate Sabrina for opening up. It's never easy. And definitely there'll be a stage of denial, and you got to struggle that, and you start with like, why me, and why this thing happened and everything. It'll take some time before you start admitting that, okay, I'm ready to speak up. I'm ready to open up. Yeah, so it's about acceptance. And I feel that for my clients, for those who have accepted that they have condition, they are more likely to move on with their life, and comply with the treatment plan and everything, and less likely to relapse. That's what I observe when it comes to acceptance, and it's very powerful.
I think that's a huge step to accept that you have it. Yes.
Yeah. And also the definition of recovery. I mean, of course, like when I spoke to some of the clients during that earlier stage, they start telling me, oh, my definition of recovery is to stop my medication. I don't have to take my medication anymore. I don't have to see my psychiatrist anymore. But the thing is, like, okay, if let's say we are talking about a severe or major mental disorder, you have to be on medication. So that's the struggle. Yeah. So and after speaking to some of my clients, they start redefining recovery, the ability, to move on with your life, live a quality life while coping with mental health condition. Yeah, that's how. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
We're
beautiful.
almost out of time, so I'm just going to take
Yeah.
two more questions, and I see one here. I don't need, here's an assumption, I don't need to see a counselor or therapist, I can just talk to a friend. What do you think about that? Porsche, do you want to start?
Once again, it depends on the severity of the condition. So, but the thing is, having said that, because we understand the extent of stigma. So many a times, a lot of them start saying that I'm not ready to speak to a professional. I'm not ready to open up to a psychiatrist. So speak to a friend. Speak to someone, start the conversation. Yeah. So once you start the conversation and you get like much more comfortable to speak about your condition. So it's okay, even if you're not ready to speak to a counselor, a therapy, begin with a friend. At least you're speaking out and you're not keeping everything to yourself and struggling alone.
Yeah. Sab, what about you?
I mean, I would say that there's a big difference between speaking with a friend versus speaking with a therapist or counselor, because the counselor or therapist is trained to hold space for you, and they're not supposed to like project their own their own experiences or their own thoughts onto your experience that you're sharing. They're just supposed to like kind of guide you along the process of understanding and discovering what your thoughts and feelings are, right? Whereas when you're talking to a friend who's, especially one who's not trained in psychotherapy, for instance, I mean, for me, at least in my personal experience, I see that when I speak with friends, oftentimes I end up getting advice that I'm like, but you don't
I
really
didn't
understand
ask
what
for
I'm,
that.
yeah, I didn't ask for that. Or like they try to show that they understand, they try to show that they understand and are trying to like sympathize with your situation. And sometimes bringing in anecdotes from their own life, which may not necessarily make sense or be aligned with your experience that you're sharing with them, right? So I think that's a very big difference between talking to someone who's trained versus someone
Yeah.
who's not. Yeah,
Mm.
but that said, talking to a friend always helps. Just
Yeah, especially if that friend knows, and if you're lucky to have a friend who knows how to hold space for you and listen, then
yeah,
sometimes that helps you
yeah.
and can help you feel better. But again, yeah,
I would
seconding.
I would be careful about the friend I speak with. Yeah.
Okay, very, very last question. How do you think you can respond to someone if you hear any one of these misconceptions or assumptions and you encounter them and you want to kind of educate them, but also, make sure that you keep your own mental well-being? Porsche, what do you do when you encounter someone who, like that taxi driver, like you said,
Mhm.
has this misconception about mental health?
Oh, I mean, like, he's unlucky to meet up with me because I was educating him along the way and clearing the myths along the way. Give me a chance to do that. And earlier on, when Sabrina talked about a friend, I mean, like, well, start speaking to a friend is good, and she was so right, some friends might not be able to manage, especially when they are not mentally strong, they might be affected as well. That's the thing. So, yeah, I mean, like, in order to support someone you love, coping with a mental health condition, you can read up more, like attend more of such talks, to equip yourself and learn more so that you can support your loved one. Yeah, correct. Or at the same time, learn to speak to someone, and self-care is very important for caregivers as well.
Sab,
Mm.
what do you think? What would you do if you encounter someone and they're like, again, that kind of
Oh, there's
comment,
something like yeah. They
like,
make one of
oh,
the
but how can you have bipolar? You look fine. What
um.
should you say?
I just say I do. I'll just
Okay, I mean,
I,
it doesn't have to be that one, but any kind of misconception that maybe triggers is a little triggering because they're like
okay.
it
So
shows that they're not educated or they don't
yeah. No,
understand
I
mental health.
think in the first place, I recognize that it usually comes from a place of ignorance or the lack of education rather than judgment. I personally believe that no one purposely says these things to like offend you lah, right? It's usually from a place where yeah, maybe they have had a bad experience with someone with a mental illness, who knows, right? So that's one, just recognizing that okay, this person is not meant to offend you. And then the second part would be, okay, Sabrina, do you have the energy right now to educate this person? Yes or no? Because sometimes I just don't,
That's a
right?
very good question.
Do I care enough do I care enough about the person right now to share? Do I have the energy? Am I too tired? So if I have the energy, I try to share a little bit more. Maybe I send some resources, send one of our talks, no, but
Send us talk.
yeah, exactly. So that's why we're doing this, right? But if I don't have the energy for it, then I'll just say that no, you're wrong, and if you want to learn more, you can go look up, you can research yourself. But yeah, I'll just say that they're wrong, and that's okay. Just leave it as that. Yeah,
Yes, ultimately, it's why we do these kind of talks and why.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there are a lot of talks out there, but still, the misunderstanding and misconceptions around mental health abound, not just in Singapore, but across the world. I saw someone uh, messaged us, they're watching from Africa. So,
Yeah,
it's not just
Yeah.
Asia, it's really everywhere. And yeah, if you guys please help to spread awareness and education around mental health and help us fight this battle to, break the stigma against mental health.
I
So
mean, it's a
everyone,
reason. Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's a reason why we've started this, right? It's because
exactly.
yeah, the stigma is still there, and stigma is like okay. I think it's lifted right now, but the awareness and understanding of what mental health really is, mental illness really is, and everything in between, right? It's still not quite there. So that's why we're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for joining us today. We're right about time. We've been speaking for over an hour, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any other questions for us, you can reach out to us. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You can just look us up, Calm Collective Asia. Feel free to message us on any of those avenues. We do have an upcoming talk. Sab, do you want to just mention?
Yes, we do. So in about a month's time, we're going to be having a talk on navigating mental health care in Singapore. So we'll be bringing in practitioners from the primary care, tertiary care, and social agency space. So that would be great. We're trying to cover kind of like the entire mental health landscape in Singapore and how you can, practically get help. So yeah, join us for that. You can find the sign up link on our website already, but we'll also be reminding you through our newsletter. And of course, thank you, Porsche, for today. Would you like to share anything about Silver Ribbon before we go? You're doing amazing work.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate everyone for joining us this evening from across the world. Yeah, it is really nice. We need to have more of such conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Porsche. Go look up your Silver Ribbon. They're doing great work. Okay.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Take care. Take care. Okay. Rest well. Bye-bye.